Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, July 5th. This is the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting for this evening. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gary, Commissioner Bauer, Commissioner Bosbus-Rath, Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Here.
Commissioner Twardy,
Here.
Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
So we have heard from Mayor Gary, Commissioner Bauer, and Commissioner Bosbus-Rath. If I could get a motion to excuse, please.
I so move you excuse them. Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. For all of you who can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please do so. Okay. Yeah. Do you want us to wait till after the pledge, or can we do the pledge? Okay. And so we are having technical difficulties. We're going to wait until our IT person says that we actually have audio online. Test. 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 Maybe it's my mic.
Testing.
Test. Okay. All right, so just to confirm with the audience and those watching online, it is being recorded with audio, so that will be the version that is uploaded to YouTube. Item number 4 is mayor comments and general announcements. So there have been a couple of events in town, and we can wait and talk about those during commissioner comments. And we have one more thing that I need to say, and I'm going to read it so that I don't cry. As some of you may know, on Saturday afternoon, Sault Ste. Marie lost an amazing person. Wendy Zimmerman Bodwin, lifelong Sault Ste. Marie resident, passed away. Like many of us, Wendy and I have been friends since childhood. Wendy served the city of Sault Ste. Marie as a commissioner from April 2001 until November 2003. Most recently, Wendy was the director of our very own Sioux Housing Authority. Our hearts are with her family, and especially with her son Andrew during this difficult time. My Sioux High class of 1987 just lost another member of our family. Thank you. Item B, there's no proclamations or recognitions, and so we'll move right into item C, public comment. And so there will be the public hearing about the pump house, so you don't have to let us know if you're going to speak on that. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. But if there's any other scheduled agenda item that anyone would like to speak on, please let us know now. Mary, do you want to speak on historical? Okay. All right, so we have Mary June, who would like to speak on G business items number 5. Is there anyone else at this time? Yes? Yeah, so that'll be a public hearing and everyone will have an opportunity to speak. Thank you. All right, hearing none, let's move into item D, consent agenda. Deputy Director Robin Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Under consent agenda 1, approval of City Commission meeting minutes of June 20th, 2022. Item 2, acceptance of the Airport Advisory Board meeting minutes of May 12th. Item 3, acceptance of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting minutes of May 10th. Item 4, acceptance of the Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes of May 25th. Item 5, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation meeting minutes of May 10th. Item 6, acceptance of the Parks and Recreation Board meeting minutes of April 26th. Item 7, acceptance of the Tax Increment Finance Authority 3 meeting minutes of May 10th. Item 8 is appointment of the Chippewa County Treasurer to the Local Development Finance Authority. Item 9, reappointment of Joseph Gallagher to the Planning Commission for a second full term set to expire April 19th, 2025. Item 10, resignation of Marnie Rubenstein from the Planning Commission effective June 24th, 2022. Item 11, appointment of Rick Miller to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire June 1, 2025. Item 12 is appointment of Steve Aikinen to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill a partial term set to expire June 1, 2023. Item 13 is appointment of Marnie Rubenstein to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the partial term set to expire June 1, 2024. Item 14 is reappointment of Dan Campbell to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a second term set to expire June 1, 2024. Item 15 is reappointment of Bonita Peters to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a full term set to expire June 1, 2025. Item 16 is resignation of Andrew Rubenstein from the Zoning Board of Appeals effective June 17th, 2022. Item 17 is consideration of Act 51 amendment to decertify Salmon Runway. Item 18 is consideration of annual guideline resolution for poverty exemption. And item 19 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you, Robin. Is there any commissioner who would like to have any items removed for further explanation? Okay, hearing none. Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on. Item E, special orders of business, public hearing regarding the proposed demolition of the old pump house. So first we'll hold, do you want us to hold a public meeting and then you speak, or do you want to speak and then hold the public hearing?
However you like to do it.
Well, let's have you talk first and then, okay, thank you.
Alright, up first for commission consideration is a public hearing regarding the proposed demolition of the old pump house. We had a previous public hearing at the June 27th meeting. The action item has been picked up by a couple of news outlets. In short, the staff and I are proposing to demolish the old pump house. 1993, around that time, we went offline due to the new water treatment plant coming online. Since that time, it's kind of sat over by the Sherman Park area, kind of fallen apart there. Looking at the structure and the cost to upgrade it or rehabilitate it, the most cost-effective means is a demolition right now. So we'll do a public hearing, and then we have the final contract up for consideration during business items.
Okay, thank you, city manager. So we are going to open the public hearing, and so if anyone would like to speak on this item, yep, come on up to the microphone. Please state your name and where you live.
I'm Jeff Zista. I live at 1821 Riverside Drive. I'm also a member on the Parks and Rec Commission. You want me to talk into the mic? Not a problem. I'm going to read something here. We'll keep it fairly short. Because there's a contract that's being prepared for the master plan tonight, it's on the agenda for approval. There will be public meetings that will be held in the preparation of this master plan. And for that reason, the demo should be postponed and uses for the old pump house for public and or private recreation use should be explored. It's my understanding that a combination of private and public use has not been explored with that structure. And there appears to be also a discrepancy between whether the land can be sold. I don't know the answer to that. When the RFP was prepared, it was believed that it couldn't be sold. It has not been offered for sale, can't be sold, I don't know. And finally, in my opinion, the structure could potentially be a cornerstone for Sherman Park, which we have been rejuvenating through the last few years. Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak during the public hearing? Come on up, Phil. State your name and where you live, please.
My name is Phil Belfie, and I'm not a city resident. I live in Sault Township. But this probably is known by everyone. I bought the old Bruce Township School, and it was scheduled for demolition, and they put it up for sale. And according to the superintendent, I saved the city, the public school system, anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000, because that's what they estimated it would cost to demolish the building. So I didn't have to do much by contingency when the sale documents were submitted, but I did meet their contingencies. And I had one goal, which I maintained. When people drive by that school, I want them to have a smile on their face. And I'm willing to do the same thing for the pump house. I'd have to have a tour of the building and all that kind of stuff, so if you demolish it tonight, obviously that option has been removed. But I think that it would be to the city's advantage to at least explore other possibilities. And I know that it's been on the website, but quite frankly, hardly anybody ever looks at that website, and it's very difficult to find anything anyway. So I would just encourage the council, the commission, I guess we call it, the city council or city commission? Commission, to take the option, no action, just so we can have public input. And the other gentleman talked about, it really would be premature to demolish that building at this point, in my humble opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Is there anybody else in the audience? Come on up to the microphone. State your name and where you live, please.
My name is John Sorok. I think most of you know me here, but for the record. Looking at the stonework on it, it's pretty obvious the era it was built, that it's very likely the Italian masons that came here built the hydro plant, stuck around and built that in some of the area churches. I've got to believe there's some historical grants or something that should be researched. I don't think putting it on the city website saying it's for sale is adequately marketing it. I would encourage you to table tonight the discussion for demolition and have staff aggressively market it. I'd be willing to serve on a committee if you want us citizens to look at offers and prepare some RFPs for marketing. It should be done statewide. I think there are people out there interested in it. You should explore that before you demolish it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, Debbie, come on up to the microphone. State your name and where you live, please.
My name is Debbie Jones, and I live at 2133 Riverside Drive. I am on the DDA Board of Directors, and I know that downtown has been designated, our community, as a historical, can't remember the exact term, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And so I would like to say also what John said, is that there's got to be some type of grant funding that would be available to save that building. It would be a shame that to have that building destroyed, so I would ask that before any decision is made that there'd be an effort to look to see about historical grant opportunities.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there anybody else in the audience? Oh, yeah, Mary June, come on up. State your name and where you live, please.
My name's Mary June. I live in Sault Ste. Marie. I'm also on the, or have been, on the Historic Development Commission, and we've been rather defunct the last 3-4 years since Angie's retirement. And this would have been something we would have definitely been interested in having an input on. But I think the option of doing some more investigation, the last 2-3 years has been a bad time to do anything like that. Everything's been on hold. But I think now there's more opportunities, and with the interest that's been generated, with the recent news coverage, that may help gain some time and opportunities that we haven't been able to pursue. And if the park commission could also include that in their development, I think that would be a really centerpiece for the park. It's a gorgeous piece of property. If you put a deck on the outside by the river, I mean, that would be just gorgeous. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Anyone else? Come on up, state your name and where you live, please.
Hi, Lisa Young, 1013 Parnell in the Sioux. I just agree with everybody here tonight. Justin Nepper spoke last week, or last commission meeting, about pumping the brakes on this and waiting to see what we might be able to do with the building. I agree. I know it's been vacant for a long time, and there's some problems with the building, but I do think once the building's gone, it's gone. I'm on the Parks and Rec Board now, and we had Linda DeSista come and speak at our meeting in June, and that's what was her main, I think, driving point, was once it's gone, it's gone. So maybe putting this off a little bit longer wouldn't hurt anybody. So I'd like to see it tabled. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Anyone else in the audience would like to speak during the public hearing about demolition of the pump house? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public hearing. City manager, can you answer maybe some of the questions or the things that came up as far as like, did we ever advertise? How aggressively did we
You
advertise?
kind of went on the business item, we can do that then.
Okay, all right, we'll move on then. So that public hearing has been closed. Item number F, under communications, there isn't anything. And then item number G, under business items, number 1 is consideration to award the demolition of the old pump house to Bay Area Demolition. City manager.
All right, thank you. First for commission consideration is request to approve contract for demolition of the old pump house in the amount of $87,826,000. So, kind of spinning off from what we just heard in the public hearing, the property has been marketed. The EDC has a contract with the state Michigan Economic Development Corporation to utilize Zoom Prospector, which is a resource that goes out to developers across the state, across the country. The property is listed up there with its zoning designation, utilities, all that pertinent information. So there has been an attempt recently, I don't know when this was posted up here, but it's been up here for a while, to market the property to developers. Can the property be sold? So the property itself is owned by the water municipality or the water utility. Let me just pull up here. Brian, can you throw my screen up on the screen? Or, yeah, you just do it for me if I took it up. I guess you can't because I don't have it hooked up. Dude. Can you go up there, Brian? Oh, alright, well, I can't show you, but so the water pump building and some of the land on the outside of it is actually owned by the water utility. I'm going to go again. Yeah. 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 The building is owned by the water utility, and the water utility doesn't have restrictions on it like it does with park property, so we have the ability to dispose of, there we go, right here. So you can see the green area is the Sherman Park ground, and this is the water pump building. So everything that's not green is not city park owned, that's owned by the municipality or the utility. Utility has the potential to dispose of property if it's deemed not necessary to the system anymore. So there are state laws that prohibit us from selling parks property, but that's not the case with utility property. So we can sell utility property. What else do we have? So the building itself, so we got a proposal for about $87,000 to demolish it. We provided the commission with reports that would, estimating what some of the rehabilitation costs would be. We had a report from 2018 that indicated that it would be about let me just pull it real quick, $143,000 in 2018's dollars to make the building weather tight. And right now, we showed the pictures in the last commission meeting and some of you can walk through it, but it's starting to deteriorate. The roof is bad, it's got holes in it, as water gets in there, it gets in the crack. It's just falling apart. We also have nuisance issues with people continuing to break in there. Kurt's been in there a handful of times the last couple of weeks, and he said every time he goes in there, there's something that's moved around. So we still have break-in issues there. The report that I referenced in 2018 also has a total cost to rehabilitate, repair, and maintain it, not putting in any kind of like business or amenity or anything like that, but just to make it a nice building. It's about $600,000 back in 2018. So over the years, there have been individuals that approached the city with an interest in that building. At one point, Commissioner Bauer had an interest in putting a brewery in there, but I think that project became not feasible for him. Most recently, I sent an email to the commission this morning about a gentleman that we were discussing a business with in that building late last week, and he followed up with us this afternoon that the cost to rehabilitate it is just too high. There's a lot of work that has to be done. Tonight, whatever direction the commission wants to go, and we obviously recommend demolishing the building, but it is kind of we need direction, something has to happen to it. Because as time keeps going on, the building continues to deteriorate. Director Toombs doesn't believe the roof will last through the winter, at least a portion of the roof won't last through the winter. So we do have to have some kind of direction or decision on this one. From our perspective, we don't feel taking in a building that no longer serves the core purpose of a water utility and putting ratepayer funds into that structure when we have a wide, long list of projects that we have to do throughout the city. We don't feel that's a wise investment to continue to put money into something that may or may not happen, who knows when. As far as a parks asset, I would not recommend that, as we have a hard time maintaining the current structures on our parks inventory list right now. And we wouldn't be able to take on something like this and really do anything significant with them. Grants or without grants, the grants will still have a match that is required for them, and I don't think we have necessarily the capital to be able to meet that kind of match. So we can answer any questions the commission may have, but our recommendation is to demolish the building.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the commission. Do you just want to start on your end and move over? All right, Commissioner Rubenstein.
So, would it cause any issues with the current bid if we tabled it for 3 months? Or I think the master plan would be discussed and adopted in December, to wait 6 months. I know you mentioned it wouldn't last through the winter, but would it cause issues with the current bid to table it until then?
The contractor we're working on with the current contract, the proposed contract, wants to start the work in August, beginning of August, end of July. They're in the area right now, they're doing some of the work, and after this summer, they may not be here. So the bid probably would be no longer accepted at the latest after the next commission meeting. But yeah, to pause it for 3 months, 6 months, that bid won't be good anymore.
Great question, that was actually my question. Commissioner Miller, would you like to make a comment?
Well, I'll piggyback on that a little bit. If we did table this for 3 months, I think the reason why it's on the agenda tonight, and I think the reason why we're talking about it is that the building is not safe. And you said Director Tooze has been in there a few times. I know it's full of asbestos. People are still breaking into it.
Yep.
The one time when we took a little tour of it, you weren't the city manager then, but when we took a little tour of it one time, actually, pieces of wood were falling down while we were in there. So I think it's the safety issue right now. I don't believe it's the money, Andrew. I don't think it's or waiting 3 months. I mean, the bid will be a little higher probably in 3 months, most likely. But I appreciate everyone who came here tonight and talked about it. The thing is, it's not a safe building, and I wish people would have been talking about this 8-9 years ago when we probably could have salvaged the building 8-9 years ago. If we got a huge grant right now to fix it, the building's unfixable. So, that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you. Okay, just to recap, we've had multiple RFPs for this building, correct? How long were there RFPs out for this?
RFPs for which specific thing?
For the pump house?
Do you purchase it?
Purchase it.
Oh, you probably know better than I can. I was gonna say before I got here, but that's only a couple of years, so.
Yeah, it's been out multiple times under prior city managers that it's
Okay.
been released and then been in agreement with potential developers and then put back out for RFP, so several times.
Great, thank you. And also, knowing one thing, the parking lot would never be part of that sale, correct?
No, the parking lot could not be part of the sale because that is still park land, so they
Okay.
would, yeah.
All right, so now you're talking a parking issue. You know, I think we're just opening ourselves up for just way too many different things here. And like I said in the last meeting, I refer this to blight. If this was a constituent's house on Bingham Street or Spruce Street or something, Robert Brown would be knocking on that door every day. So as far as I'm concerned, if we're gonna control blight in this town, we gotta police ourselves first. And if we're not policing ourselves, how can we police other people? You know, so that's where I stand on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Talentino. I just have a couple more things to add. I'm as passionate about this building as everybody is. You know, I grew up here in Sault Ste. Marie, went to Sherman Park. I remember that building, you know, being in its prime and working for the city, although you have to say that back then the water wasn't very good. The water's way better now. But I would have loved to have seen this salvaged, and that's why we kept forcing Brian to take a look at this in other ways. We made him and Director Tooze give us a tour. You know, that was opened up twice. We were able to go do that. You know, we were trying to think of any way that we could salvage this building, and at the end of the day, it is a huge safety issue. The fact that they are going in there all the time and things are always moved around, it's not a good sign. Asbestos, you know, there's all kinds of different types of feces in there. It's not in good shape. And the reason that we got this great deal is because they would like to repurpose and reuse a lot of the materials from the building. So I like to think that it will live on in other manners, but a lot of it will be salvaged. So I guess those are just my thoughts and comments on it. Does anybody else have anything else to say? Or does anybody, this is just discussion, right?
No, this is actually.
Oh, this is actual,
No,
okay.
So we have
So my computer didn't move to the next item. There it is.
recommended motion to award the demolition of the old pump house, the Bay Area demolition for the amount of $87,826.
Okay. Okay, we have motion, do we have support?
Oh, I've made it. I was telling you I've made it.
Oh, would you like to make that motion, Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to award the demolition of the old pump house to Bay Area demolition for the amount of $87,826. Support.
Okay, there's motion and support. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Twardy.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Item number 2, consideration of an audit committee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Up next for commission consideration is a request to create the audit committee, which is a standing committee of the city commission. Then as a secondary motion to appoint Mayor Jerry, Mayor Pro Tem Twardy, and Commissioner Rubenstein to the audit committee. So this was a discussion that came out during the last commission meeting, based on the input of the 3 proposed commission members on the audit committee. We put together just a little scope of work and meeting frequency, staff liaison, and similar items like that. So we will look for a motion to establish the city commission audit committee, as well as motion to appoint the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioner Rubenstein to the audit committee.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, is there any questions? Or would anybody like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion. Motion to establish the city commission audit committee.
Support.
Motion and support, roll call, please. Actually, we could just do a voice vote, can't we? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner Talentino.
Thank you. Motion to appoint Mayor Gary, Mayor Pro Tem Twardy, and Commissioner Rubenstein to the audit committee.
Support.
Motion and support. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 3, consideration of award for the bid for 5-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a approval of a bid to McKenna for the update to the Parks and Rec Master Plan, 5-year plan, in the amount of $15,000. During the last budget cycle, we budgeted about $20,000 to bring a consultant on to update the 5-year rec plan. The master rec plan has to be updated every 5 years to be eligible for grant opportunities to the Department of Natural Resources, as well as other granting agencies that are outdoor rec focused. We invited over 20 firms to submit proposals. I believe we received 4. McKenna is the low bid, but that is not why we were choosing them. Staff went through an analysis of each firm, looked at their history, looked at recommendations, and I believe McKenna was the one that scored the highest. So we're comfortable with McKenna. We feel they'll do a good job for us. There is a process that they'll have to undertake based on Michigan Department of Natural Resources guiding documents on master rec plans, so there will be involvement from the Parks and Rec Board, surveys with the community, meetings with stakeholders. All in all, it should be started off in July and probably wrap up about February, just in time to submit it to the DNR to be eligible for grant funding. But in short, staff look for a motion to award the RFP to low bidder McKenna in the amount of $15,000.
Okay, thank you. I remember when we went through this process last time, it's really exciting. A lot of people come and they all have like great ideas, and it doesn't matter how big, how little, how crazy the idea. It's fun to do the charrette and get it all organized, put together, and then submit the plan. So looking forward to this process again. City Commission, any questions? Would anybody like to make that motion? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to award the RFP to the low bidder McKenna, Michigan firm, in the amount of $15,000.
Support.
It's motion and support. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Twardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 4, consideration of change order to the water treatment facility roof project.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So up next for commission consideration is a request to approve a change order in the amount of $5,500 to Great Lakes Roofing for additional work related to the current water filtration plant. Long story short, the current water treatment plant has had some roof issues over a number of years. Director Toombs had a firm come in, they looked at it, they gave him a scope of work to follow through. We budgeted for the funds, we've been moving through that project, but there was a deviation from the project in order to better repair certain, one of the towers. That change order resulted in about an extra $5,500 in expenses for the project, bringing the total project up to $119,000. But the overall project will still fall under budget at about $150,000. So we look for a motion to approve the change order as presented.
Okay, thank you. City Commission, any questions? Okay, Commissioner Talentino, would you like to make that motion?
Absolutely. Motion to approve the change order in the amount of $5,500 for Great Lakes Roofing for additional roof work to prevent leaks.
Support.
Motion and support, can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Twardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. Item number 5, consideration of operations for the historic homes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Up next for commission consideration is a series of motions that will open and operate the historic homes on Water Street for this summer and into a little bit of the next calendar year. So the commission had some discussion during budget time to operate the historic homes. Staff and I made an assumption that we would have some funding come in from the Osborne Operating Trust Fund because it wasn't conducive in the general fund at the time. So last couple of months we worked with all the parties involved in operating that, Chippewa County Historic Society, the Sault de Sainte Marie, to get the operating contracts in place. And this item has 4 motions to it. First would be to appropriate $32,650 from the Osborne Operating Fund. That will go into the general fund operating budget. That will pay for the contracts and the associated maintenance and activities for those historic houses. The Historical Development Commission did take up this item earlier in July or June, and they did make a recommendation for the funding for historic homes. And again, with this item, there are 2 contracts: a contract for the Chippewa County Historical Society for docents, exhibits, interpretive storytelling, things of that nature, and then an agreement with the Sault de Sainte Marie for administration and maintenance oversight of the 3 facilities. So we will look for approval of the 4 motions as presented to the commission.
Okay, thank you. And we do have Mary June from Chippewa County Historical Society in the audience. Do you want to come up and say anything?
Well, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to, I guess.
Okay, come on up.
Does anyone have any specific questions?
You don't have any questions, Commissioner Rubenstein? Okay.
I do. How long has it been since you haven't had any docents? I know, how long have we been out of work?
Since 2020.
Since 2020?
And 2 of them will not be coming back, but we've got 2 new ones lined up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, for the first time this year, we're gonna be getting, with the cruise ships, they're doing these tours, walk-on tours, and we're gonna be included this year as part of that tours, and that should really help the bottom line with the admissions. We haven't had very good admissions in the past, so this should drastically increase the income we're able to generate, making it a, hopefully we'll break even, if anything else, with the operations. And at the Historic Development Commission, we had agreed to do it this year. The Historic Development Commission doesn't really feel this is appropriate annual funding for the use of those funds. But to get it going, at least for this year, they agreed to do it. And even though nothing's been finalized, we have been in the houses cleaning, setting up the displays, and we're looking to be ready to go and open on July 11th, which will also be the first boat tour people that will be receiving also. So it'll be a crash course for the first day.
That's great. I did hear today actually from someone who works for the Viking cruise ships, who drives one of the buses, that the members really love the River of History Museum. So I think it's gonna be able to great to have our own homes on display. The Berga home is just so cool to walk into. Are you guys gonna be able to hold your summer camp this year, or have you not? You probably haven't held your summer camp for a while, hey?
No, we haven't, and actually, the last year we held it, that was the last year we were gonna do it.
Okay.
The Ginny Symbolist and Patty Olson, they ran it for 11 years, they're retired teachers, and they decided they just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, maybe we can find somebody else to take that
Yes,
over, right?
we need to find some other new teachers to take it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other questions for Mary? No? All right, thank you for coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, Commissioner Miller, would you like to make those 4 motions, please?
I certainly would love to. Thank you, Your Honor. Let me get my glasses on straight here. Motion to appropriate $32,650 from the Osborne Operating Fund for operations of the historic homes.
Support?
Motion and support, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Twordy,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the agreement with Chippewa County Historical Society as presented.
Support?
Motion and support, roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Twordy,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the agreement with the Sault de Sault Marie as presented.
Support?
Motion and support, roll call, please?
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Twordy.
Yes. Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the budget amendment increasing the historic homes budget by $12,900, fully supported by the Osborne Operating Fund.
Support?
Motion and support, roll call, please?
Commissioner Rubenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Twordy,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes. Do you need a minute? That was a lot. Okay. All right, moving on. Item number 6, review of role for city commission liaisons to the city boards and commissions and appointments as liaisons to boards and commissions. We were kind of talking, do you want to take it?
You have.
Yeah, we were just talking before the meeting, and it seems kind of silly with just 4 of us here to kind of do a whole big change-up. So we were wondering if Commissioner Rubenstein, you would just like to take Commissioner Collins' old committees until we have the organizational meeting in November.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much for doing so. Moving on. Item H, city manager announcements and updates.
I forgot to include them, but just I will be in the office July 15th, 22nd, and 25th in this month, so.
Okay, thank you. Item I, matters presented by the public. Is there anybody in the public who would like to come up to the microphone and ask any questions, say anything? Okay, hearing none. Item J, matters presented by the City Commission. City Commission? Yes, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't want to drag the meeting any longer than it has to be, but I know administration was speaking with the Sioux Eagles this past week about things that are going on at the Port Stadium. I know the concession stand is one of them. I think you were talking about some other things, but the concession stand for me is a big one. A little update maybe, what's going on, or do you think the concession stand will be up 100% fully operational by their opening day of September 15th, I think it is?
Pretty close. So we met with the Eagles last week. They have an idea on a contractor to put in the hood. Tyler's talking to that person, even though it's outside of the RFP and bid process that we issued. Why this particular person didn't bid, I couldn't tell you, but we are talking to that individual. We also sent Bruno and his crew the list of pieces of equipment that we're looking at, the hoodless equipment, for their review, and they shoot back to us this week, so.
I really like that idea. Your idea with the, you like
Yeah.
the woodless stuff, I think,
Yeah.
because there's still Ansel stuff in there. There's
Right.
still an Ansel system in
Yep.
there, but
Yep.
it takes away from having to have so much of the hood up
Yep.
top.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea. Were they receptive to that idea, or?
They're reviewing it. I
They're
would say
reviewing
they're receptive, but they're reviewing it. I think the griddle will work well for them. Bruno's just looking into the fryer. He's got some concerns with the fryer.
If you could keep the commission updated, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Well, I guess we had 3 events recently, so I'll start out with Engineers Day. That was last Friday in June, and thank you to the Sioux Convention and Visitors Bureau for putting on such a fantastic event. The official numbers came out, it was almost 6,800 people came into the Locks Park that day, which is great. People were really excited to be able to come back, and I think as we get further and further away from COVID and we can open up the administration buildings, that event will continue to grow, but lots of excited people down on Portage Street, so it was a great event. And then yesterday, of course, was our 4th of July parade. Thank goodness the rain held off. It was really kind of crazy how that worked out, because it was sprinkling when we were all going up there, and then it stopped for the parade. So it was great timing, and then we ended up with 2 Tootsie Rolls left over, one for the driver for DPW and one for the guy working with him. So we planned that pretty well. But oh yeah, he had one in his pocket. And we always buy the Tootsie Rolls out of our own pockets, so that's not taxpayers' dollars. We spend our own money on those. But it's a great event, and it's always great to see people come out. And then the fireworks, we were all talking with Robin before. She felt like she was a part-time meteorologist before the fireworks went off. And they didn't mess around. They lit those fireworks off, and then the show was over. But it was great to see, and thank you to the Sioux Fire Department for any assistance that you provide in that. And of course, the Corps of Engineers, they always let us use a portion of their dock for launching those fireworks. Yes, Commissioner Miller.
Even though they had like the fireworks off really, really fast because of the rain, those were some of the most fantastic fireworks I've ever seen. They did a very nice job. Kudos to you guys and the people that lit them off for us. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, yeah, they did a great job. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to make any comments? No? Hearing none, Commissioner Talentino.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.